Hello, and welcome to episode 68 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast. I'm Christine.
And I'm Sam.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
We are now in 2023. Can you believe it?
You know, I think back sometimes to, the years kind of immediately following the turn of the millennium and thinking how weird it was that I was writing 2-0 at the beginning of everything.
Right.
It still feels weird.
It does still feel weird.
Like,
and
23 years later, it still feels weird.
And I still, when I write a check, which is not often anymore,
right,
will sometimes write 19.
Oh, really?
And then have to start over.
Oh, see, I can't remember the last time I did that. I'm sure I did in the early days of the 21st century. But
So Y2K was 23 years ago.
Yes, it sure was.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
Although
crazy.
some would say 22.
Right. I actually had that conversation in my head this morning, and I'm like, I'm saying it's 23. Sam's going to say, no, it's 22. So I knew you were going to say
that. Right, because
that.
2000 is the last year of the old millennia,
Right.
and 2001 is the first year of the new millennia.
Yeah, it's that math again.
Yeah.
That I love so well. Do you remember where you were at the turn of the century?
Absolutely.
Y2K?
Absolutely. I was bartending.
Right. You were living in New York City.
I was living
right?
in New York City, and I was tending bar at a pub that was in Penn Station. It's no longer there.
Oh, really?
As far as I know.
The pub is gone?
The pub is gone.
Probably a parking lot now or something.
Well, no, it's still part of Penn Station. It's probably just a different bar and restaurant than it was back then.
Right.
Yeah. I just know that the last time I wandered through Penn Station, it was no longer there.
Sad.
Well, I mean, that's okay. But so I was tending bar, and I actually wasn't supposed to work that day, but had been called in because the bartender who was supposed to be on for Millennium New Year's Eve had called off.
Right.
Surprise, surprise. And so I wound up being the only bartender from about 10 o'clock that morning when we opened. Well, we opened at 11, so I was the setup bartender starting at 10. And then we opened at 11, and I was on my own until 5 that evening. And the thing was, we all assumed that the place would be dead.
Well, I mean, it was New Year's Eve.
It was New Year's Eve, but it was
In New
during
York
the
City.
day.
I know,
New
but
Year's
still,
Eve.
it's New Year's Eve and people are ready to party.
Yes, and people were coming into the city, trains left and right, of course, and so the bar was crazy packed. And I made a lot of money that day.
Yeah, good tips, right?
Oh, huge. Yeah. Yes, because also it was Y2K. People were thinking the world was ending.
I'm not going to need this cash anymore.
I'm not going to need this cash tomorrow.
Here,
take it. I'm like, okay, cool.
The world won't even meet me here tomorrow, so you can take my last $100.
Yeah, so I made a really tremendous amount of money that day because I ended up staying not only until the second bartender came on at 5, but when the third bartender came on at 8, I was still in there. I think they finally cut me at like 10:30.
Wow.
That night.
That's a long day of bartending.
Yeah, it's a long day of bartending, but that's a lot of tips when the bar was as crowded as it was.
Yeah.
And the restaurant was pretty much dead all day. And so the poor servers on the floor,
they were making nothing.
Were not making anything, right?
You guys didn't pool tips or
not No.
Not bartenders and servers.
No, we didn't. The bartenders. So what happened was for the time that I was there by myself, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., all of the tips were mine. Then from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Right, you had to pool them.
We split between the two of us that were there. And then the reset button got hit again at 8. And so anything that was made between 8 and 10:30 when I was cut for the day was split between the three of us.
Oh, okay.
And then it went back down to 2 because I was no longer in the equation.
Right.
Yeah, so, but that's how it went.
Yeah. So the world did not come to an end. On New Year's Eve Y2K, I went to my parents' house just because I wanted to be there as Y2K happened, just in case their power went out or
anything
something
crazy
strange happened. And then, midnight came and went and there was nothing happened.
Nope.
And I was supposed to be at a party at the theater I was working at the Roadhouse. Mm-hmm. So I left my parents and headed to the theater where this party was. And I ran, it wasn't really a red light. It was an amber went red right as I was going under it. And sure enough, wow, behind me. And I'm like, are you kidding me? New Year's Eve. And so I pull over and he's like, do you know why I pulled you over? That's what they always ask. And I'm like, yeah, I'm guessing it's because that light turned red just as I went under it. He's like, have you been drinking? And I said, funny enough, no. I just came from my parents. I know you would think at 5 minutes after midnight on New Year's Eve of Y2K, whoever you're pulling over probably would have had a drink or two, but I have not. I'm actually on my way to another engagement. And I said, am I your first ticket of the new year? And he said, yes, you are. So that was funny.
And he did give you a ticket?
He did. He gave me a ticket.
Okay.
And then I got to the party, and one of my colleagues there at the theater thought it would be really funny if I showed up it was like 10 after midnight or maybe quarter after at the latest. But right at midnight, she went down into the utility room and cut the power to the entire theater.
Funny.
So I came in right at the aftermath of all of that, and everybody was like,
nice.
There was much ado.
Ado.
Yes. And I'm like, what happened? The power went out and blah, blah, blah. And nobody at that point had known that it was a joke.
Yeah.
And my friend Jamie said, yeah, I cut the power. Anyway, that's where I was at Y2K.
There you go.
Hey.
This year, though.
Yeah, let's move back to the future. I mean, the present. Wherever we are. Again, no concept of time.
This year, though, we spent the majority of our New Year's Eve at the home of Trey and Savannah. Yeah. Christine's nephew and his lovely
niece-in-law.
Niece-in-law.
Soon to be
niece-in-law.
But before we go any further on that, let's backtrack a little.
Oh, well, see, I was going to go backwards from where we are now.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. That's cool.
Just because it was a good segue.
Do it.
All right, cool. So we spent most of our New Year's Eve this year at the home of Trey and Savannah, our lovely nephew and niece-in-law to be, which we're very excited for. More on that later in the year.
Right.
Absolutely. And we were actually celebrating our version of Christmas Eve, which got canceled or postponed due to the massive winter storm.
Winter Storm Elliott.
Yes, Winter Storm Elliott that had a huge impact on the vast majority of the northern half of the country.
Yeah.
Over the Christmas week, essentially.
Yeah.
It was particularly bad north of us in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Where there were a lot of people stranded in their cars, in their homes, without heat, without power. And there were a astounding number of deaths from this storm. People trying to walk themselves home, and just the storm being so bad and so huge that they would, got trapped in a snowbank and couldn't get out, or trapped in their car and couldn't get out. So it was a really sobering thing to happen, particularly on a weekend that is supposed to be so very joyous and filled with cheer.
Yeah, tragic.
Truly tragic.
Yeah, our hearts go out to the families of anybody that fell victim to that storm.
Yes.
They evacuated people just to the east and just to the west of us here on the shores of Lake Erie.
Yeah.
Due to 25-foot waves. There was 65-mile-an-hour winds, which is a hurricane force.
Yeah.
And there were 25-foot waves on the lake. It was insane.
Yes, it was absolutely crazy. Fortunately, we were in a comfortable little nested spot that just did not get hit quite as badly. We did get a lot of snow.
We got a lot of snow and all the wind, but luckily where we are on the lake, we are kind of protected. There's a bluff a little bit just west of us. There's this little bluff, and it acts as like a breakwater.
Yeah, it really does.
And it kind of protects our little area here. So we were lucky.
We were very fortunate. We did not experience any power outages.
No.
Our heat did go out.
Yeah, our furnace
on Christmas
went out.
Eve morning. But not due to the storm, although
Well, kind of. It was wind related.
it was wind related.
Yeah.
You're probably wind related anyway. So we did have a little bit of an issue with that, but it was repaired pretty quickly.
Thank God.
Yes. So we were very, very fortunate. And so anyway, our Christmas plans, as they had been set up, got rearranged a bit. Our initial plan had been to celebrate Soto, Volk, Kenny, Wright Christmas on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Right.
And then our own Christmas, the Compassion and Cucumbers Christmas, on the 26th, and then Kenny Christmas from the 27th to the 30th.
That's right. We have 3 Christmases.
That's right. We have 3 Christmases. It's insane.
It's better than it used to be.
It is.
I think we've already talked about that.
Oh, we have. Yeah. About the traveling and all of that. Yeah. It's crazy. So anyway, because of the storm, because nobody wanted to risk anyone driving anywhere during this monstrous storm, the Soto, Volk, Kenny, Wright Christmas got shifted to the following weekend, which of course was New Year's Eve, New Year's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it worked out really well.
It did. It worked out beautifully.
Yeah.
We had a very quiet, cozy Christmas here at home.
Yeah, we were snowed in with plenty of food because we had bought
We had just gone grocery shopping.
groceries for Sam's family to come. So, we were well stocked.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well stocked. And so, we just had a couple of days of Christmas carols and movies and sitting by the phony 4D fire on the TV and, reading and knitting. And
it was kind of pleasant.
it was wonderful.
Yeah.
Like it was really delightful to,
It was a nice, quiet Christmas.
because sometimes I feel like, when we slow down and take a couple of days to essentially not do much of anything, we almost feel guilty about it.
Right.
But when there's a storm like that outside and you can't go anywhere.
Yeah, you have the excuse.
And you can't do anything really in a productive sense. It kind of gives you permission to just slow down and enjoy the time. And I think that was really great.
I concur.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was a great couple of days.
It was.
And then we wound up having the 26th as a day to prepare for the Kenny onslaught.
Yep.
And they all came up around midday on the 27th. And that, of course, was 3 days of gifts and games and lots of laughter and lots of food and just a whole lot of fun.
It was a good time.
It really was.
Yeah.
It really was. And so Mom and Dad left on Thursday.
Yeah. By Thursday, Sam's folks had enough fun.
Yes.
They wanted to go home.
which is completely understandable.
I would have wanted to go home too, bro.
Yeah, Dad is still recovering from his surgery, doing beautifully, by the way, but still recovering, and so his even that small bit of travel, it's going to take its toll.
Yeah.
So
He gets tired.
yeah, it makes perfect sense. But Owen and Lucy stuck with us for an extra day.
They did. So
Which
we had
was
some extra
great.
game playing time and watched a couple of Christmas movies and played some Switch Jackbox games. If you have a Switch, you got to get the Jackbox games.
They
so
are fun. They are really great party games.
Yeah.
Everyone plays on their own devices.
Yeah,
It's
if you're
really
looking
great.
for like a casual game where you all can sit where you are in the living room and not sit around a table or anything, you use your own device,
Right.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
And there's just so many fun games on those game packs.
Oh yeah, loads of variety. Like in let's see, what was it? Just on Saturday, Savannah once again proved herself to be the queen of fibbage.
Yeah, she's good at the fibbage.
She's really good at the fibbage.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're really just kind of a blast.
Yeah, I think they're fun.
I like them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, I hope everybody else had a great holiday and a safe holiday, and our hearts go out to you if you were affected by Winter Storm Elliott in any way that may have put a hinder to your holiday.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So moving on.
Now
We are now in January.
we
So
are officially in January.
what does that mean?
That means for a whole lot of people, Veganuary.
Yes.
Now, for those who are not aware, Veganuary is an annual event that encourages people to try a vegan lifestyle for the month of January.
Yeah.
Which I think is really, really awesome. It's meant to promote the benefits of a vegan diet and lifestyle and to provide support and resources to people who are interested in adopting a vegan diet for the first time. So this is really for the vegan curious out there.
Yeah.
Those of us who are vegan full time, well, it's Veganuary every January. So those participating in Veganuary pledge to follow a vegan diet for the entire month of January and will often receive support and or guidance from organizations and individuals who are committed to promoting veganism. The goal of Veganuary is to raise awareness about the environmental, health, and ethical benefits of a vegan lifestyle and to help more people make the transition to a plant-based diet.
It gives current vegans a great opportunity to mentor people in your circle or even people online that are vegan curious or have been wanting to go vegan. It gives them an opportunity because it's kind of like a challenge. They've turned Veganuary into like a 31-day challenge,
right,
to see if you can go vegan as far as your diet. But it also gives us an opportunity to mentor them on different things. So you can share information about the benefits of the vegan diet. There's many reasons why people choose to go vegan, including for their health, for the environment, and of course for ethical reasons. And you can share information about these benefits with the person you're trying to convince and try to show them how going vegan can have a positive impact on their life.
Right. And when you're doing this kind of mentorship, you want to consider the person that you are speaking to, that
Absolutely.
you are mentoring. For example, Christine and I have been vegan for about 4 years. And with my family, we frequently talk about the ethical and environmental reasons for our veganism, but we don't often talk about the health-based reasons. But my dad, who just went through a major surgery, is moving towards a plant-based diet for the health benefits. We were able to put documentation of the health benefits of veganism in front of him, and that made him seriously consider making substantive change to his diet. So he would never have gone for it if we just kept going on the environment and the ethics.
Yeah, correct.
Never.
Yeah, you got to know who you're
talking to. That's
Yeah.
right. Another thing that you can talk about, of course, is the negative impact of animal agriculture. I actually got into a bit of a tussle with Chris's cousin, not cousin. I almost did my cousin Vinny.
No, he's my Uncle Vinny.
He's your Uncle Vinny, but
Yeah.
I don't know, the movie popped into my head. My cousin Vinny popped into my head. But I almost got into a tussle with Chris's Uncle Vinny.
She always gets it because my Uncle Vinny, he likes to bait her.
Yeah, he does. He likes to get me going.
Yeah.
We can talk about the negative impacts of animal agriculture. A lot of people are unaware of how animal agriculture impacts the environment. And a lot of them don't think about the ethics of killing billions of animals just to satisfy our taste buds. So you can share information about these issues with whoever it is you are talking to and show them how veganism can help to mitigate these negative impacts. Now, to be fair, Uncle Vinny is 83. Okay.
Yeah.
So and he told me a story about how, he was trying to shift a little bit towards more plant-based options in his diet.
For the longest time, he wasn't doing dairy.
Right.
He's the one that actually introduced me to the Follow Your Heart smoked Gouda, which is
kidding.
now my favorite cheese.
Right.
He found it when he was grocery shopping.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And brought it. I was at my mother's and he brought it and he's like, you got to taste this cheese.
Well, now he's done a complete 180.
Yeah.
Last night he was telling me how he won't drink anything but whole milk.
Yeah, he's drinking cow's milk again. I don't
How
understand that.
plant-based milk is not milk.
He was totally, all he ever drank was almond and soy milk before.
Yeah, how soy milk was going to turn him into a girl.
I think he's being influenced by somebody else.
I think so too,
Yeah.
but
one of his caretakers, I think.
But and that's neither here nor there. That's
No.
absolutely fine.
He
But
can make his own decisions.
He absolutely can. And he was telling me that, he used to go to Burger King and get an Impossible Whopper and that he really enjoyed them. But then he suddenly has decided that he's not going to do Impossible Whoppers anymore because they are processed.
And we
To
all
which
know,
I said, you don't think the hamburger you're eating is processed?
especially the ones at Burger King.
Especially the ones at Burger King?
We all know that the beef Whopper is so much better for you.
Right,
It's
exactly.
ridiculous.
So it was
but
just a
you can't argue with an
strange-
83-year-old man.
No, you can't, especially when
I mean,
it's
you
Uncle
can.
Vinny. And I do, but it's usually futile.
You're not going to get anywhere.
No, not really. I mean, although after dinner, after we had the absolutely gorgeous vegan lasagna that Trey made.
Yeah,
by
my
the way,
nephew makes one killer lasagna.
fabulous lasagna.
Yeah.
I put a tray of sweet treats on the table, things that I had bought too many of as stocking stuffers.
Right.
And so, Vinny grabs a wafer cookie, and he eats it, and he turns to me and he goes, "This is really good." And I'm like, guess what? It's vegan. And he's like, "It is?" And I said, "Yes." And he's like, "Well, I guess it's okay."
Right. See, you should have never even told him.
I
it
shouldn't
was
have told
vegan.
him, but yeah. So, because when he didn't
You should have
know,
said, "Oh, do you like those?
it was
Well, maybe
really
we'll
great.
Get you some of those."
Yeah, you're right. That would have been a better tactic.
Yeah.
But yeah, because he went from "this is really good" when he knew nothing about it
Right.
to "oh, I guess it's all right."
It was just okay
When
then.
yeah.
Once he found out it was
So
vegan.
weird.
Yeah, it's a trick that the mind. It's some sort of cognitive dissonance that's going
Yes.
on there.
Yeah. So I was telling Chris about this conversation as we were driving home last
Yeah.
night, and she's just chuckling because she's like, "Yeah, Vinny just likes to get your goat."
He
So
does. He totally does. He always plays devil's advocate when Sam is around.
I think he's like taking your dad's place or something.
Yeah, and my dad used to do the same thing.
I don't know why they consider me so much fun to argue with.
I don't know. Other things you can do to help mentor people is to offer support and resources. Going vegan can be intimidating, especially if the person you're trying to convince is used to a diet that includes a lot of animal products. Vinny, right?
Yeah.
You can offer help to help the person find vegan recipes and restaurants and products and provide support and encouragement as they make the transition. You can do, I think Stefchenko was doing this thing where she was helping people grocery shop,
Oh, that's awesome.
which is a brilliant idea. And I think we actually talked about one time that there should be a service.
Absolutely.
It could even be just like an online thing, like a virtual assistant,
Right.
where you pick out products and stuff. You can tell them what aisle you're in, and they can give you suggestions for products, know, or maybe even a thing where you can scan a product and it'll tell you. I think that might even exist,
Oh.
where you scan a product and it'll tell you if it's vegan or not.
Oh, yes, that does exist.
Yeah. So that's something you can do. You can be a good example. If you're vegan yourself, try to lead by example by showing the person that it's possible to have a healthy, satisfying vegan diet. And this can help to demonstrate that veganism is a viable and enjoyable way of life.
Yep.
That's what we do.
Absolutely. It's what we try to do. And of course, as support and resources, if you ever want to turn somebody towards our podcast, that's great.
That's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for.
Sam is a certified mentor with Vegan Outreach. So,
Well, there's no certification.
I thought you had to go through a certification.
Well, no, it was an application process.
Oh, okay.
So I'm a registered mentor.
Well, there you go.
With Vegan Outreach, but there's no certification. That just sounds fancier than it is. And most of all, of course, always in your conversations with the vegan curious or non-vegans, be respectful and non-judgmental. So it's very important to remember that everyone is different and that what works for you may not work for someone else. You want to be respectful of other people's beliefs and choices and try to have an open and honest conversation with them rather than lecturing or judging them.
That's always a good idea.
Especially when you have somebody like Uncle Vinny trying to get your goat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so those are just some ways that during this Veganuary month, that if you know people that are curious, if there's people in your circle of friends or your family that have shown an interest in becoming vegan for whatever reason, these are some ways that you can help to mentor them through the process.
Absolutely.
Moving on, we do not have a recipe of the week due to the fact that we've been consuming nothing but holiday foods.
It's been a whole lot of lasagna.
Yeah, right. I made a lasagna and some baked rigatoni and meatballs. What else did we do? Oh, and we did. We made
made the big giant subs.
Yeah, we made giant subs with tofurkey, all the different tofurkey slices
yep.
and cheese and
veg,
lettuce.
Yep.
Sprouts and stuff, and then cut them into smaller portions, and people seem to enjoy those.
Yep, that was really good.
Yeah.
I want to. I have to practice my assembly game.
Yeah.
With the big sub.
Why?
Because they kind of fell apart when we cut them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They kind of fell apart. It was hard to kind of keep them
sometimes
together.
the tomato can cause that to happen.
Yes, I know it's mostly the tomato that is causing that to happen, but
Makes things slippery.
I guess, yeah. I mean, even toothpicks really didn't do the job that I wanted them to do. But
Well,
I think
we didn't have like the party picks, which are longer.
Yeah, we didn't. We didn't have
That
the right
would've helped.
toothpicks, but still.
I mean, yeah.
It worked out, but they did kind of fall apart. They weren't as pretty as I wanted them to be.
No, but they were delicious.
They were super tasty.
So regardless, we did not do a vegan cookbook recipe because we've been, I cooked food for Sam's family when they came and stayed with us. And then we went from that to eating leftovers of said food.
Yes.
And then we went to my nephew's and he also made lasagna.
Yep.
And we had a big green salad and lots of really delicious cookies. Mm-hmm. So there's been not only no time to make a recipe, but no need to make a recipe.
Absolutely.
Yet,
so we have forgone the recipe this week.
So moving on to our main topic, which is, funny enough, New Year's.
Go figure.
I thought we could just talk about some fun facts about New Year's.
Sure.
Why not?
Absolutely. Why not?
Fun facts are fun.
Yeah.
That's why they call them fun facts.
There you go. So to start off with our fun facts. So yes, of course, there have always, basically since the origin of man, there have been ways to honor the cycle of the year. And one of them, of course, is New Year's celebrations. And the earliest recorded New Year's festivities date back 4,000 years, and those were occurring in ancient Babylon. The celebrations were not done on December 31st and January 1st, however, because they weren't working on the calendar that we're working on today.
No.
Instead, again, they're kind of going by the wheel of the year. And so New Year was celebrated on the vernal equinox, the spring equinox. So that was happening in late March on the day where there's an equal amount of sunlight and darkness.
Yeah.
So that was the first day of the new year.
Yeah, and civilizations around the world developed calendars that would pin the new year either on an agricultural event or an astronomical event.
Which makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
For example, in Egypt, the year would begin with the annual flooding of the Nile and the rising star Sirius appearing in the sky. The first day of the Chinese New Year occurred with the second moon after the winter solstice.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's very cool.
And it still does Chinese New Year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that is still true. And that...
What year, do you know what year we're in now, Chinese New Year?
I don't.
What year were you born in Chinese New Year, do you know?
Year of the tiger.
I think I was year of the...
You're a rat.
Rat.
Yeah. You're a rat. I'm a tiger.
Ratso Rizzo.
There you go.
Rizzo the rat.
Mm-hmm. Muppet Christmas Carol.
We watched that yesterday at Trace.
We did.
The early Roman calendar consisted of 10 months and 304 days. And the new year also began at the vernal equinox. Their calendar got out of sync with the sun. So in order to realign the Roman calendar with the sun, Julius Caesar consulted with all these astronomers and mathematicians. And in the year 46 BC, he added 90 days to the year. Could you imagine if we did that now, how that would disrupt everyone's lives?
Yeah, it would be unbelievable.
Yeah. And how did they get the word out that...
You got to wonder.
You know,
I mean, yeah.
No, the year's not over yet. There's 90 more days.
I'm sure that there was probably a significant amount of time during the transition
where they talked about adding it.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm
there would
sure
have to be, right?
Yeah, there's no way that happened all at once.
Yeah, because, of course, communication wasn't instantaneous the way it is now.
No, definitely not. In his adaptation of the calendar, also Julius Caesar declared that January the 1st would be the first day of the year. He named the month of January in honor of the god Janus, and he wanted to give said deity the honor of starting the whole calendar.
However, we don't use the Julian calendar anymore.
We do not.
We use the Gregorian calendar.
That is correct.
But apparently it's very similar. And they also consider January 1st the first day of the year. So that's kind of how we got to January 1st. In the United States, we have the Times Square's ball drop. That's our big tradition.
Yep, it sure is. It sure is. I have never seen it live. I have walked through the crowds.
I would not want to be anywhere near there.
Well, my night of bartending on Millennium New Year's Eve, I had to walk through the crowds to get to the train. So, it was really quite interesting. The tradition of the ball drop in Times Square has been going on since 1907. It started out as a 700-pound orb made out of iron, wood, and about 100 light bulbs.
Yeah.
Now, however, it is 12 feet in diameter.
Holy cow.
Weighs 12,000 pounds. So that's 1,000 pounds per foot.
How do they get it up there?
I have no idea. And it's covered in LED lights and Waterford crystal.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's really an Irish ball.
It is.
Waterford crystal.
12,000 pounds. That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nutso, right?
It's nutso.
Completely nutso.
Do you want to talk about some New Year's good luck traditions? I know a lot of people have different traditions, foods they eat and stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely. This one's just kind of perfect. Smooch a loved one.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. Smooch a loved one at midnight. It's been a while since we've stayed up till midnight.
It's true.
We're going to have to do our smooching around 10.
Yeah, exactly. So, yes, everyone I'm sure is aware of the tradition that when the clock strikes midnight, you're supposed to kiss someone you love. The tradition comes from English and German folklore, which believe that it's the first person with whom a person came in contact that year that dictated the year's destiny.
Oh.
So choose your partner wisely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could go terribly wrong for you.
It really, really could.
Brazil makes it easier to choose your New Year's outfit. Everyone wears white for good luck and peace. Plus, matching outfits make for classy-looking photos. So that's interesting. They wear white.
Yes.
In Brazil.
One of my favorites is the swinging of the bread, which is an Irish tradition.
Right.
And this is the tradition of the barmbrack. While loads of countries have food-related traditions, Ireland's most interesting tradition doesn't involve eating. Instead, the Irish bang Christmas bread, often known as barmbrack, on the walls of their homes.
Yeah.
It's supposed to chase any bad spirits out of the house to start the new year with a clean slate. A good house tidying, presumably after bread banging, is also an Irish tradition.
I would imagine you would need a bit of tidying.
Yes, absolutely.
This is one that I've heard of people doing, and it's eat 12 grapes. Yes,
12
exactly
grapes?
12. One at
Okay.
each stroke of midnight to represent each month of the year. Eating one grape at each of midnight's 12 clock chimes guarantees you a lucky year. If and only if you simultaneously ruminate on their significance, according to Atlas Obscura, if you fail to conscientiously finish your grapes by the time the clock stops chiming, you'll face misfortune in the new year.
Huh.
So you're supposed to eat each grape very intentionally.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's an interesting tradition.
Yeah, I like the premise.
I don't know where it comes from.
I don't either, but I like the
And
premise.
this article doesn't tell me either.
Mm-hmm.
So we've done smooched a loved one.
Well, here's one that I
okay.
find really interesting. And, I find this very interesting because we're from the area of the world that does this, and I'm completely unaware of it. And that is the smashing of the peppermint pig.
Oh, I've heard of the peppermint pig.
You
Yeah.
have?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so apparently in upstate New York, and we're technically not upstate New York, we're technically Western New York, but still, they sell peppermint pigs all throughout the holiday season. And at the new year, everyone gets to take a turn hitting it with a special candy-size hammer and eating a piece for good fortune in the coming year. The peppermint is very strong, so only take a small piece, and at least you'll start the year with nice, minty, fresh breath.
Yeah, I have heard of the peppermint pig, although we've never done that.
I think we need to pursue the peppermint pig. Although smashing a pig with a hammer, I don't like the visual.
It's a candy pig.
Yeah, but still.
In Japan, it's traditional to
You're
eat...
just going to let that go. You're not going to comment on that at all. Okay, that's fine. Moving on. Let's go to Japan.
In Japan, it's traditional to eat tashikoshi soba. It's a dish with long buckwheat noodles that's served hot or cold, and the noodles symbolize longevity, and the hardy buckwheat plant represents resilience.
See, now that's one we could adopt really easily.
Yeah, we love soba bowls.
We must have a soba bowl on New Year's Day.
Yes.
I like that a lot. I really like that.
What's this one? Choose your underwear carefully.
Okay. I like this. I think this is interesting. So certain countries, especially in Latin America, believe that the color of your underwear can bring good things to you in the next 12 months. Yellow is for luck, red is for love, and white is for peace. And for heaven's sakes, make sure they're clean and free of holes, just in case you, like Christine, get stopped by the cops on the way to a New Year's Eve
How is
gathering.
the cop going to know there's holes in my underwear?
You know, you never know.
You just never know. Here's something a lot of people do, and that's sing Auld Lang Syne.
Oh, yes. That's a classic.
Yeah. Auld Lang Syne is often credited to Scottish poet Robert Burns, who sent it to the Scots Musical Museum in 1788. But the writer himself admits that he didn't write the lyrics. He was just the first to transcribe an old folk song. If you really want to impress the other members of your party, learn the other verses. There are apparently 10 verses of Auld Lang Syne.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
But we heard a version, and you're like, I've never heard that verse. And they were doing multiple
right
verses.
And so yeah, it kind of gave us a clue that there were more verses than we were aware
so apparently there's 10 verses.
Yep. Now this one I really like. This is burning up the old year. This is an Ecuadorian tradition in which folks take the bad parts of the old year, or año viejo, and they turn them into effigies and burn them. So people make sawdust-filled dummies from politicians, pop culture figures, and other characters, and then burn them at midnight for a sort of cleansing ritual. For extra good luck points, participants try to jump over the flames 12 times, once for every month.
That one could go terribly wrong.
That could go terribly wrong. So, you know, if you do decide to do this, please exercise caution. But I think that's really very, very cool. And I think that, you know, you could also do that just for, you know, events that have happened, things that are weighing on you.
Yeah, well, it's a Wiccan tradition to do that on a new moon.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Where you write things down, maybe obstacles or things that you want help with, and then you burn them
Right.
In the new moon.
Correct.
Yeah. In Puerto Rico, look out below, because in Puerto Rico, they believe that dumping a bucket of water out the window drives away evil spirits. If that seems a little too unfair to the people who might be passing by, Puerto Ricans also sprinkle sugar outside of their houses to invite good luck in, which is a little sweeter.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like this one. Be choosy about your first guest. So the first person you allow through your doors in the new year may set the tone for the coming months. In Scotland, the Isle of Man, and some other parts of northern England, the first footer, as it was called, was extremely important. Tradition in those parts of the world states to select a man who is tall and dark as protection against Vikings, who would come with simple gifts of coal, salt, shortbread, and whiskey, representing the basic needs of heat, food, and drink.
That's interesting.
Yes, so we need to have a tall, dark man enter our house.
I don't really know any tall, dark men.
I know a few tall, dark men.
Do you?
Yes.
So you can invite someone.
Yes, I'll figure that out.
I like this one. And I've actually seen other people do this. And it would be, I think, a fun thing to do. You get a big jar. And instead of burning your wishes, ask your guests or friends, or even just yourself, write down a resolution, a goal, a wish, or a note to your future self and put it in the jar, and then save it for the year. Then on the next New Year's Eve, retrieve the jar and read the notes to see how far everyone has progressed. Now, I've heard of people doing this where they do it once a week. They put something in the jar, either an idea of what they want, something that they want to do, or something they want to manifest, or maybe just a good thought that they had that day, or something good that happened to them that week. And then at the end of the year, you open the jar and you read them. And I think that's a really neat idea.
I really love that. And I think we should adopt that. I think that would
be
a
jar?
Yes.
We can start it. We're in the first week of January.
We are.
And then next year, we can open that jar and read what we wrote down.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yep. That'll be a project for this week.
Yeah. So those are just a few things that people do for good luck. I know some people eat special foods. Black-eyed peas are, for instance, something that people eat on New Year's for good luck.
And of course, we already talked about the soba noodles.
You can do a sauerkraut dish. We certainly won't be doing pork and sauerkraut.
No.
And Sam's not a huge fan of sauerkraut.
I'm not.
So we probably won't do that. But some people do that for good luck. Not exactly sure where that comes from.
Not either. But there are just so many lovely, lovely things that you can do out there to celebrate the new year.
Yeah.
And we support all of them.
Yeah. And we wanted to talk a little bit about some, not so much revolutions or resolutions.
Revolutions?
Well,
Are we starting a revolution?
We want a revolution.
Okay.
No, resolutions is what I meant to say.
Gotcha.
But we're calling them intentions and possibly reflections on
Yeah.
what has happened in the past that we can improve on or whatever.
I think it's really important at this time of year. You know, we so often think about moving into the new year, whereas, you know, a lot of times I think we really need to just kind of stop and reflect on the year that has just gone by.
Yeah.
And so, you know, there are loads of things that I personally am grateful for that have happened in this past year. The greatest, of course, being the success of my dad's heart surgery. But there are many, many other things, wonderful experiences that we've had. And I really think that the new year is a great time to kind of look back on those things as well.
It is. Yeah.
While, you know, also looking forward. So the things that we are some of the things we are intending to do in the new year. In terms of the podcast, we are going to continue the Vegan Cookbook Challenge.
Yes, which was a New Year's resolution or revolution last year.
And we just enjoyed it so much, we're going to keep going with it.
Yeah, I'm having fun with it.
Yep. And we have some, of course, because Christmas has come and gone, we have a stack of new cookbooks.
We do.
To add to the to our library. And so we will be checking those out. And we're also going to be doing a new type of cookbook challenge.
Kind of a cookbook challenge, more of a recipe challenge.
Yes.
But I'd like to incorporate, like maybe do the vegan cookbook challenge bi-weekly. And then on the weeks we're not doing that, I want to share one of our recipes.
Yeah.
Something that we've been making.
Yes.
So I thought that would be fun. And then maybe by the end of the year, I can compile some of those recipes and make them available for people.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's great. That's great.
Yeah. I personally want to get back into, I was doing really good with it in the summer when it got a little cooler. And in the fall, because I especially love in the fall, going for long walks every day.
Yep.
And now that it's the weather's kind of bleak, but like today, I could have gone for a nice long walk today. It's 40 some degrees out. It's not raining.
Totally.
So I just need to, buck it up, buck up, man up, cowboy up, whatever they say, when it's a little cooler and maybe not sunny and, pretty out.
Right.
Just to go for a walk.
And those are some of the best days to go for walks.
Yeah.
When it's not crazy sunny outside and it's a little cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something I want to do and continue my morning meditation. I've been doing that. Not every day, but frequently.
Cool.
Doing my morning meditation in the morning before anybody else is awake in the house.
Well, you would have to do your morning meditation in the morning. Otherwise, it's not a morning meditation.
It's true.
If you did your morning meditation in the evening, it would really be evening meditation.
Well, yeah, okay.
Sorry. I couldn't help it.
Who are you, my Uncle Vinny?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
And another thing I want to try to improve on in the coming year is maintaining a more positive attitude.
Love it.
Yeah. Because I come from a long line of kind of cynical people, not cynical, kind of cynical people. I don't know how else to say it.
That's fair.
And worriers.
Oh, yeah.
I come from a long line of worriers.
Big worriers.
And so I'd like to be able to counteract that by just like shifting my mindset a little more and try to find something every day to be positive about and just go into things with a more positive attitude instead of going into things thinking what might go wrong.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. This is revelatory.
It's a revolution.
This is a revolution, or could be. a revolution. Yes, because if you haven't figured it out quite yet, Christine tends to be a bit of a worrier, and she tends to like to know what the outcome of things are going to be. I'm a much more easygoing, go with the flow, let's see what happens kind of person.
Yeah.
And so that can sometimes cause a bit of
a rift.
Well, no, I wouldn't go so far as to call it a rift, but it causes some aggravation. Every now and again.
Yes.
Mostly on my part.
Most definitely, mostly on your part.
Mostly on my part. So the fact that you are actively, kind of looking on, or looking at, I should say, working towards a more positive mindset is really quite beautiful. I'm very excited about this. This is great.
Yeah, we'll report back and see how it's going.
We sure will. As for me, I desperately want to get back to my daily morning yoga practice.
Yeah.
Which kind of fell by the wayside when Lucy came up for playground.
Yeah.
That's when it died.
And that was August.
So. That's when it died, and I never managed to get back to it.
Well, I mean, you really couldn't do it while she was here, so.
No, I couldn't do it while she was here, but, when she was gone and the semester started, I had a plan in place.
Yeah.
And it just never materialized.
Didn't happen.
And I was thinking about this on the drive home last night too, that it's so easy to fall out of a pattern.
It really
or
is.
Out of a habit.
It really is.
But it's so hard to get back into it sometimes.
It can be.
It's really just
It can be.
nuts.
I mean, what do they say? That you have to do something in order for something to...
It's like 100,000 times.
I don't know. Is it that many times?
I think it might be.
Oh my, that's too many times.
Well, I don't know. I've heard 100,000.
That's
I
not
don't know
what
if
I've
it's
heard.
correct.
I think I've heard something like 3 weeks or something like that.
Okay.
In order, like things like going to the gym, going
Sure.
for walks, doing your yoga, morning meditation, you have to be consistent for 3 weeks for it to stick.
For it to stick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is my number one priority, but also something I want to be much more consistent with, because this just kind of fell apart in October and I never got back on top of it, was to be more consistent with our Compassionate Cucumbers newsletters.
Our newsletter, yeah.
It's so funny because I really enjoy doing them.
Yeah, and you're a great writer.
They're fun.
And you love to write.
I do.
It's just sometimes life gets in the way.
Yes.
And I don't like to pressure you about it because, we're
appreciate
supposed to
that.
be having fun with this.
And
So
we are.
if at any point it feels like too much, we just let it go, you
Right.
know? So we talked about maybe trading it off every other week or something, so
Right.
it didn't seem so daunting or didn't start to feel like a job.
The thing is it's not actually daunting.
Yeah.
See, one of my major flaws is that I will build things up to be greater tasks than they actually are.
Okay.
So, doing the newsletter is actually not a huge and daunting task.
No, it usually doesn't take you very long to do it.
It's a couple hours at the most, and that's perfectly fine, on a Friday afternoon. Sitting down for a couple of hours and writing the newsletter, I thoroughly enjoy it. I have a good time when I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But for some reason, prior to that Friday, like Wednesday, Thursday, I start building it up into a thing.
Right.
And that, oh my God, I have to do the newsletter and
Yeah.
there will be tragedy if I don't do the newsletter. There's not going to be any freaking tragedy if I do not do the newsletter.
No, I haven't gotten any complaints.
Okay, excellent. So,
Maybe you can take a little bit of my resolution of going into things with a more positive attitude and put that towards the newsletter.
Yes, absolutely. Or for me, it's not blowing things up into things that are bigger than they actually are.
I think everybody does that a little bit,
we do. Yeah, it's the procrastinator's tool.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be more consistent with the newsletters, and Christine and I may start swapping that off. I think also that would be cool because you and I would have very different styles.
Oh, completely different styles.
Of newsletter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that would be fun for those of you out there who do read our newsletters. So we're going to get working
Maybe
on that.
what we can do is like not say who wrote it and you can try and figure it out.
It'll be pretty
At the end of the
obvious.
newsletter, guess who wrote this one?
Yeah. That won't be hard.
No, it won't be because Sam is a brilliant writer and I am really just a so-so writer. So there you
Well,
go.
I wouldn't go that far in either direction, but okay. Also, one big thing that we've talked about in past episodes, we have just not gotten on top of it yet, is getting our online store going.
Yeah, we got to get that going.
Got to get that going.
Yeah.
especially since we just missed the last pop-up market at the Vegan Center in Tonawanda, we have all kinds of inventory of scarves and all kinds of knitted things, and so
not to mention the t-shirts and the stickers and the buttons,
the t-shirts and
coasters,
stickers and the buttons,
magnets,
and all of the podcast swag.
Yeah.
So we definitely want to be able to make that available to people. So that is something that is on our list. We want to do that. And I'm trying to think, is there anything else? Oh, my whole thing, and this is kind of what we were talking about. We talked about a lot of things in the car last night, but apparently
it's a long drive.
So I really want to make sure that I consistently make time for certain things that I really enjoy doing, but get lost when I feel like I don't have time for them.
Okay.
So for example, the morning yoga practice is one of those. And so, starting, I think probably Thursday is going to be my start day. I want to make sure, I'm getting up at a specified time. I get up, I grab some water, I go to the studio, I do my yoga, that has to become a daily thing, even on the weekends.
Right.
For now.
Because that's true. Because the weekends can throw you off
completely
when you're doing something like that. And then you have a nice, relaxing weekend, and you're like, "Oh, I don't do that on the weekend. It's the weekend." And then Monday rolls around, and you don't feel like doing it again.
Right? Exactly. So, including the weekends, I'm going to start on Thursday, and including the weekends, we're just going to get that going, so that habit will continue through the semester. So that I am doing that every day. Also, I want to make sure that I have some time to knit every day, because I've really enjoyed the mad amounts of knitting I've been doing over the past couple of months.
Yeah.
With the intent of marketing the scarves and things that I'm making. And even though we didn't get to do that in person as we intended to, I just really enjoy the act of creating these things.
Oh, yeah.
And so I still want to keep that going. Also, I've gotten back into the habit of studying foreign languages, which I'm very excited about.
Got back into your French.
Got back into my French, which, is my strongest of my foreign languages.
Oui.
Oui. By far. And so I've gotten back into that, and I'm really excited about it. So making sure that there's time for that every day, and also reading a little bit every day. Now that sounds like a lot of stuff to put into one day.
But really it doesn't, your French takes 20 minutes?
Yeah, about 20, 25 minutes in the
morning. It can take
morning.
10 if you want it to.
Right.
And reading a little bit every day.
Like reading a chapter.
An hour.
Yeah. A chapter.
Yeah.
Again, that can be, for me, that can be like 20 minutes.
Yeah. I would like to read more too in this coming year. I have this habit of starting books and never finishing them. Almost every book I have has been started and never finished.
Almost every book I ever have has been started, finished, and reread at least twice.
So the idea of just, making that a part of your day, maybe a part of your morning routine or something where you just read a chapter.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Maybe I'll adopt that myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so just making space for those things that are good for you and just add to your life, but the things that tend to kind of disappear when we get busy or overwhelmed or, because those small things, those really tiny things can be very grounding, anchoring things. And so I'm looking forward to making time for those things.
Yeah, those are those things are the spice of life.
They really are.
Your creative endeavors and stuff like that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So those are just some of our intentions and some of our, not really, I guess they're resolutions. I don't know. I hate to say resolution because it seems to put more weight on them when you call it a resolution.
Yeah, I think our culture has
resolved to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, resolve can change.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think our culture has placed an unusual amount of weight on the word resolution. So I do prefer intentions to resolutions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That way, if you don't see it through.
Well, I intended to do that. I meant to do that. But at the same time, it kind of gives you a way out. A
little bit. It's a little less pressure, I think, calling it an intention. Anyway, let's move on to housekeeping.
All right.
Hey, we still got our Food Not Bombs fundraiser at our Buy Me a Coffee site. That's Buy Me a Coffee. .com/cucumbers. And Food Not Bombs, if you don't know, is a nationwide organization, and we're fundraising for the Buffalo chapter. They provide vegan meals for people in need in the Buffalo area. So if you're interested in donating to that cause, which is a fantastic cause, go to buymeacoffee.com/cucumbers.
Absolutely. If you're interested in supporting the podcast, you can join our Patreon. The link is in the show notes, as are links to products that we use, books that we reference, et cetera, et cetera. And if you click on those links and buy any of those products on Amazon.com, our podcast will get a little bit of financial support at no additional cost to you just by using our link.
Yeah, absolutely. Leave us a review on your podcast app if your podcast app allows. And if it allows you to rate us, please give us 5 stars, because I love the 5 stars.
Christine loves the 5 stars.
Yep.
She really does.
Yep.
Even better, though, please share the show with a friend or family member that you think would enjoy what we do. That is the best way to help any content creator, just by liking and sharing.
That's right. Share. Did you say share our social media stuff? Yes, you did.
No, I did just the show.
Oh, share the show. Share our social media stuff. It's the easiest way to support us and any creator out there, and it doesn't cost you a dime.
That's right. And it shows your appreciation for the amazing work that Christine does on our social media.
Yeah. If you appreciate it. Look, I don't want any false appreciation. Except
the 5 stars.
No, I don't want 5 stars if you don't think we're deserving of 5 stars.
Okay.
You can give us 4.5.
Okay. And last but not least, if you haven't yet, please get out there and join the AFA Vegan Voter Hub.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Agriculture Fairness Alliance, and they are doing some incredible work in Washington and all over the country to have our vegan voices heard as our government moves into talks about the upcoming Farm Bill.
Yes, and I believe they vote on that Farm Bill. I said Farmville.
You did.
That's funny. I believe they vote on that Farm Bill in September.
It is September,
it's coming
yes.
up. So join the Vegan Voter Hub so that they have those numbers to give to the politicians when they're lobbying in Washington.
And if you have the means and the inclination, you can also donate to the AFA in order to support them in that work.
Yeah, and we always have a link to that in our show notes.
Yep, there we go.
Yeah. So that's it. Thank you for listening to episode 68 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast.
Yeah.
Welcome to 2023, people.
That's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. I like it. 2023. It's got a good ring to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for Veganuary, you can say to people, you are animal free in 2023.
Yeah. Love it.
I always try to find a rhyme that goes with the year.
All right.
You know, I can't remember what mine was for 2022.
I don't remember.
So much to do in 2022.
No, I like animal free in 23. That's good.
Yeah. Animal free in 2023. Okay, we're just rambling now, and thanks again for listening, everybody, and for all the support that you've given us over the last year and a half or whatever that we've been doing this.
Year and 3 months.
Yeah, we really appreciate you.
We do.
All right, we'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Have a great week, everybody.
Love ya. Bye-bye. Do you want to support the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast? Well, you can do that by joining our Patreon page. We have 3 different levels of support, and all 3 come with their own special bonuses. Hey, you can support the podcast and get yourself some really cool merch. All the links and deets are in the show notes. We'll catch you next week on the next episode of Compassion and Cucumbers.